fucked up already.
Yeah, I did. Thanks. All right.
See,
Welcome
fine.
to Mediocre
everybody.
Gaming.
Hey, I'm talking!
Well, then say it.
Welcome, everybody, to Mediocre Gamecast for today, 16th of Sunday. Or, fuck.
6 ways to
Great.
Sunday.
This is good. So this is good radio. Today, the 16th of February, 2014, and it's Sunday. You happy?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
great.
not about us. It's about them.
I'm not busy enough. We have Zeismo here. Say hi.
What's going on?
Say hi.
Zeismo.
Hey. Okay, great. Tagos132
Yeah.
and Beastum.
Yeah, what's up?
All right. Today we're going to be it's our first inaugural, the first episode of hopefully many before we get bored of it.
Dude,
for
people are going to be
Mediocre
listening to
Gamecast.
us, and they're going to think we're hot, by the way. Because, like, Olsen will say something, and then everybody
We're going right now. You're fucking it up already.
This counts.
This counts.
Olsen's
This
just
is
trying
all
to
part of it.
all, or not busy
This is-
enough, trying to be all serious, and we're like snickering in the background.
Beastum's like, let me break the third wall real quick.
This ain't comic books, man.
Ain't it though?
Just call you fucking
Just
Deadpool.
call me
or
Deadpool.
something. All right. Basically, today we're going to be talking about Elder Scrolls Online, WildStar, Destiny, and maybe a little bit about Titanfall.
Just
The
some
first
games
three-
that we're looking forward to.
Exactly.
And everything in between.
And probably get off topic and talk about some
You're off
other
topic right
bullshit.
now.
Okay,
So-
you're great. All right. That's right. Anyway, Elder Scrolls Online. All of us except one played the beta.
Yeah.
What's everybody's first impressions?
Who's going first?
Tagos.
Okay.
No, not you. Tagos.
Not you.
Well, before I played it, I had zero expectations of it being a good game at all. It looked horrible. And then because it looked just like a generic MMO with the Elder Scrolls name slapped on top of it. So I didn't pay any kind of attention to like any of the features of the game or anything going in. And then when I actually played it, I thought it was still kind of a generic thing, but it's put together well enough and polished enough that it was enjoyable. I liked it.
I kind of I kind of agree with you. I did have some worries that it might not be. They were trying too hard. That they were going to try too hard to make it Skyrim, but with friends. And honestly, I was afraid of that, but it ended up working out, and I like the way it kind of turned out there.
Yeah.
What about Seismo?
I mean, I got lost in like the beginning cave for like the first 20 minutes I played, and I just gave up.
Yeah, but weren't
not-
you terrible
that's
at
not really-
Skyrim, though?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am whenever I play the Elder Scrolls games, though. I'll get lost somewhere and I just get frustrated and quit.
But you're kind of talking about like the tutorial, because I
Well-
remember when we were playing, you were asking me about that. You're like,
The tutorial was really dry. It
yeah,
was-
the tutorial
it kind of-
was shitty.
Well, I didn't get past it. So.
But once you get out of that place, which is, it starts you off, you're in like this kind of, I don't know what it is. It's like a cavern for undead people or like souls. I forgot the
You had to talk to like the
story
prophet
already.
or whatever.
It's Morrowind's story, man. It's gonna be hard to understand right off the bat.
I mean,
But-
I do like it in the fact that it's basically a point and shoot. It's not like a click and tap your keys and just fire and forget kind of combat system.
I actually have to disagree with you, but we'll get to that a little later.
Okay.
Well, let's segue into the graphics. What do you guys think it looked like? You can always you go online and you see all these different.
Hold on, motherfucker. I'm
mods
about
for-
to give my opinion. Whoa.
You played it?
Whoa. No.
You didn't even play.
I'm giving you my opinion.
All right.
So I didn't play
Hold
the game
up.
because they all make fun of me because I have terrible internet, which is true. But I looked at the game and I just didn't think it was really worth the download. To be honest, it's a huge download for someone with slow internet, and to me, I just looking at it, it looked typical. I was talking to Ghost about it. It looks just like Rift, like from the videos I've watched. Just random things pop up and. You go and do quests. I don't know too much about it other than what I've seen in videos. But what I did see, it did look very generic. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should play it. But I don't know. What was like the grouping and like the questing system like? Is it just like the other games for like the series, or is it something totally different? Because it's
honestly,
MMO now?
there wasn't a lot of that in the beginning. It like I said, it was designed to be, or it seems like it was designed to be Skyrim, but with other people in there. It didn't force you or didn't make you group up with people right away. And I honestly didn't even get to try that.
Yeah.
I was just playing with myself.
I mean, was there like MMO quests, like go kill 20 rabbits because we need the fur to keep us warm through the winter type stuff, or is it like you're actually doing something like you were in the other games?
I don't think I ran into any quests that were like that generic. Like it didn't seem like they had quests just for the sake of having quests, like some MMOs.
Right.
It was like there were
definitely story related quests. There wasn't. Traditional.
Yeah, that's what
kill
I mean.
20.
It's
craft this. Or
it seemed like it mainly consisted of like small story arcs.
Right.
Like it was like
the side
go
quests.
over here and do this because this guy's crazy and he's on drugs or something. Was one of the guys, and it's like so go over here and do this, and then you can turn the drugs into like the guards or whatever, and then you have to decide like whether to help the family or turn them in or something, and like it was like 3 or 4 quests. All dealing with the same arc of that story, and it was like
cool.
There was a couple of those.
Sounds like The Witcher or something.
Yeah,
it kind of felt like The Witcher.
Well, it's pretty much the Elder Scrolls stuff. Like if you play Skyrim or something, and it's you're not doing the main story, and there's all these little tiny kind of side quests over, then it's sort of like that.
Yeah, I mean it sounds cool. I'm just curious how it would work as a group. Like as far as like the dungeons, what's that going to be like? You know what I mean?
We'll actually get back to that later. Graphics. What did you guys think of the graphics? Because like I was saying before I left Crybaby out, there's a lot of texture packs and a lot of mod packs that make Skyrim look almost photorealistic. And even the base game, aside from the HD texture pack that they released later, was a really gorgeous game. Did you guys think it held up to that kind of standard?
No.
Or was it kind of lacking?
I mean, it's an MMO, so no MMO graphics are ever going to be able to compare with like single-player games, just because it's got to deal with multiple people playing it and the online stuff. So they don't make it look as good, but as far as MMOs go, I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah,
and I thought it ran smoothly for how good it looked too.
Well, see, I thought a little bit of the opposite. I saw it as most of the Asian MMOs where they're really pretty, but it was a little bit. It wasn't as smooth as some of the other MMOs that are out now that have been out for a while. But it's also in beta, so it's kind of expected to see that.
Yeah, you can't really compare like a game that hasn't even fully released yet with a game that's been out for a while and already has like months or years of polish on top of it.
Right.
I don't know. I think it still looks better than WoW as far as graphics are concerned.
Well, yeah, because WoW
something that's been out for what?
WoW
like
came out so
years?
long ago. That's the thing.
It's like 10 years old
now? Yeah, but have you seen like they're like, oh, we have a graphical update with our new expansion and stuff, and it looks the exact fucking same. It's it's such a stupid game.
Just has like a vein going down his forehead now.
Just a big throbbing
it's
vein.
like 2 pixels.
Why is it gotta be
cock
throbbing?
vein on my forehead. Good thing we're keeping this radio show clean.
Welcome to 2014. Cock veins.
Cock veins.
So gameplay. I guess anybody else on graphics? I thought it was underperforming, but then again, it is in beta. It had a lot of glitchiness. I just got a new graphics card, and there were still some artifacts every once in a while, and that could be just some driver issues. But I thought it was a little bit underperforming. Anyway, gameplay. What did you guys think of the gameplay specifically? Were there some things? Name some things you guys liked about it. Some things you didn't.
I do like that it's not necessarily like stand up to something and like spam a bunch of abilities, but at the same time, it's not quite like a first person kind of action thing like I thought it was gonna be. Like it's not exactly like Elder Scrolls is, where you, like, if you have a bow, you aim with the bow and the arrow goes where you shoot. In this one, it's like, it does that, but if you point in something's general direction,
has
it
like
sort
a
of
gray
auto
zone.
locks on it.
I noticed that when I was playing a sorcerer as well, where I knew I missed, but it kind of the projectile basically arced a little bit and still hit its target, but it was still more. It was the closest to Elder Scrolls combat system than pretty much any MMO that I've played so far.
So do you think they just did that so that they could like gear towards people who don't want to have to
I mean,
aim?
if you like think about PvP,
I don't think it's for people that don't want to have to aim. I think it's to deal with lag issues is why they don't have
because
that.
imagine how much
That's-
harder
I mean,
it would be in PvP for like somebody just to run up and beat you down with a sword compared to somebody that has to like shoot you from way far away with like a fireball or something.
Yeah, but then for that you would just increase the damage. So if you got hit by it, then it does a ton of damage.
I guess.
But then you
Well,
create.
why don't you just go make your own game then?
Imbalance.
Yeah.
Genius.
I think you create if you do that, you create a huge imbalance for an MMO that they want it to be accessible to people.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't. I played the same as Tay Ghost did, where we would get right away. Bow would be one of our first weapons, or a dagger, and we do stealth attacks. And I've already noticed that it's going to be really hard to play like that in this game. Just because
I'm going to disagree with you on that, but you go ahead and keep going.
I mean, for one, with bows, I would always, when I played Skyrim, I would stay as far away as I could from enemies and just take time and line up my shot, and get my double damage from behind or extra range damage from being a bow specialization. And I knew if I hit him in the head, I would get quadruple damage off of that or what have you. If I hit them in the hand, they're not going to die. Whatever. Now I felt like, especially with bows, I haven't tried any stealth, so I'll leave that out of it. I haven't tried any stealth this game, but especially with bows, there was a disconnect. I thought it was, even though they're obviously not trying to, I thought it was, I had to keep pressing 1, I had to press 2, and I don't know if I was supposed to, but I ended up developing a pattern where I would, shoot my poison arrow because that's a damage over time, and then just spam my regular arrow. And it wasn't any kind of difficulty. I had to hit him that first time, and then I just keep clicking.
Yeah. The kind of thing that I'm talking about, though, is if you aim with the bow in the game, you can shoot the bow, but the arrow only goes like 5 feet or something. It's some weird short distance that doesn't really do anything. But then if you aim at something, the arrow flies a little further to hit it. But it's not like you can arc your shot to hit something at like a distance, because the game doesn't recognize that like you're aiming at it really, so the arrow doesn't go to it. So you can't be a sniper or something, at least unless there's some ability later where it lets you aim further or something that I don't know about. But yeah, it just kind of, it's sort of like a lock-on system, and it's a certain range. Like, once you leave that range, the arrow's just going to go like the 5 feet or 10 feet and then fall to the ground, even if you aim up to try to hit something. And with the stealth mechanics, it's not like you don't turn invisible. It's kind of, if something sees you, like out of the corner of its eye, like if you're crouching, you can sneak up behind it, because I tried a little bit. So I would do that, but the problem, at least in the starting zone, is all the monsters are kind of grouped together in a way that makes it really hard to sneak up on them. There was only one spot where I could really use it, and that was there's a place where it dealt with like the drug dealing quest. So you kind of go into this water, like you swim underwater to get in this cave, and there's like a dock system in it, and like humanoid kind of monsters are going like walking down the docks. So I could sneak up behind those and kill them like with stealth attacks, and they work really well. But throughout the entire rest of the island was like, it was always two monsters, kind of one facing one way and the other facing the other way, and it was impossible to sneak up on. So it's kind of a weird thing with the stealth, where sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
What do you guys want to see later in the game? If you're gonna play it,
Vampires and werewolves. I don't know.
Honestly, that's been in almost every
Glittery
Elder
skin.
Scrolls game. I guarantee you, it's gonna at least, if not an expansion, have some kind of part in the game.
Better have Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah, the Dark Brotherhood's always good too. Although Skyrim was kind of lacking on that, but
Yeah, the
that's
Skyrim one wasn't as
another
good as
game,
Oblivion, but whatever.
another episode. I guess what I want to see later in the game is a continuation of the I don't know what the word is. I thought it had a good story starting out, even though I played only a little bit on the first island and the intro. I played Skyrim because of the story and because of not even the fighting was the funnest part. It was the stupid things I would do. Like if I ended up one-shotting somebody and watching them ragdoll down a mountain, that was the funniest shit ever. And then the first time I learned, I watched the YouTube videos where you could put a basket over somebody's head and steal all the shit in the shop. That became I would sit a whole day just robbing everyone. And I did that in this game too. First thing I did is in the beginning of the game, in the beginning of the intro area, you have this arena where you have to just hit these 2 nodes, and the old guy ushering you along is like, "Hurry up, it's a matter of life and death," or whatever. And I took probably 30 minutes to go to every single basket in that room. It took
just
out
to piss him off.
all the salt and raw meat or whatever I got out of those baskets, and the whole time this super epic story is going on. I think they gotta not cater to players like that, but maybe put some more of that in. People are gonna want to raid or empty all those baskets.
That's
like
such
me.
a weird way to. They had a lot of boxes and stuff for people to loot that I saw, but because everybody can loot them, they were always empty, and yeah, so the shopkeepers and stuff would not at all respond to me taking stuff from them. I thought that was really
talking
weird.
About that.
Yeah, I would just go into a shop. They're like, "Hey, would you like to buy anything?" I'm like, "No, give me this shit." So then I just start just going through everything under the cabinets and just taking everything I could. And I see other people.
Register.
Yeah, I see everyone else doing the same thing, and they don't respond at all. There's no guards that are like, "Hey, stop doing that." I'm just like, "No, fuck you, this is mine," and just keep going.
I hope the whole story has just those stupid, you'd be walking through the Skyrim world and some courier would come up, aside from the Dark Brotherhood stuff, just deliver you stupid notes and stuff like that, and side quests that were really humorous. For example, on the first island, you go into this tower where this sorcerer made this rain cloud, and there's this poor bastard in the middle of the tower, just for the rest of his time in the game will be sweeping water into this basket, and I thought that kind of stuff was hilarious. And I hope there's more of that stuff. That's what I get out of Elder Scrolls games is
Hashtag Elder Scrolls Live.
Yeah, is the stupid little stuff, not the huge story arc or not the mechanics so much.
Yo, I got a question. So in Skyrim, I remember you used to be able to jump up the side of mountains, sneak up the back way to a castle, jump on a bookshelf, and just be able to kill anything from there because they couldn't attack you. Can you
mean
do
you
this
were
in
a
this?
parkour master?
Yeah.
I honestly didn't try that. I used to do that all the time. I used to do the mountain glitch where you just kind of keep jumping up the mountain to go the short way over or whatever.
Yeah,
but I was on an island in the beginning, and there wasn't really a place to test. I don't
really remember. I don't remember trying to do that, but I also don't remember having any trouble getting to where I was trying to go. Right. So I'm not really sure.
Zeismo, you got anything to add about?
Like I said, I played
Scrolls?
it for 25 minutes, and then found the prophet, and I gave up. You know what I realized when you guys were talking about using your 1 and your 2 and stuff? I think I played the entire tutorial just with my left mouse click. So my auto, I'm being serious. Now that I look back,
MMO.
I'm pretty sure that's what
What
I did.
is it, MMO?
I'm pretty sure I just did an auto attack the whole way because I almost died 2 or 3 times. I was like, why is it so hard?
What are these extra abilities over here? Better not use them.
Abilities? Fuck that.
Throw that spell book away.
They gave me poison? That must be dangerous. I don't want to use that.
Put this in the garbage.
All right. Since we're at 20 minutes now, let's go ahead and keep moving.
Fine, I guess.
Yeah,
So
whatever.
let's talk a little bit about WildStar. Now, in order to not get us all sued in our very first episode, very first podcast, I'll go ahead and tell you that one of our guys has played it, but he can't really say a lot about it.
So you know that it's a male. You know that.
Yes, one of us
is a man
one of the male
that has played WildStar.
Oh God, we're screwed. Oh,
Yeah, we're going to jail.
All right, what is everybody's first impression of WildStar? What do they think it's?
Well, only one of us actually has a first impression. So
Not first impression. Okay, what is it like?
There's
Does
videos
it
on YouTube,
look
you
good?
read
What are you
about it,
stoked
stuff
about?
like that.
Yeah. What are you
I
excited
think
about?
one of the coolest things about WildStar is the devs and their interaction with the community on like YouTube and stuff and their videos. It's more down to earth and it's not so much like professional as most
Like they're-
MMOs.
Yeah, because they're
do.
guys from Blizzard who are tired of fucking WoW, and they're just like, dude, screw this shit. We're not playing the shitty MMO
Like
anymore.
they
We're not
cuss in
gonna
their
build
videos
it. Let's do
and
something.
like they're just I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
and
cool. It's cool.
They're
to
like
me.
really down to earth guys, and even like if you watch the videos on YouTube, like the tutorials for each class or the classes that they do show. I mean, they're just like, yeah, so basically you can do all this cool shit, and they're like jumping around and like blasting mobs and stuff. I mean, it looks really cool, and maybe it's just the fact that the way that they present
Does
it.
Does it look cool?
But I mean, it looks
Tell
cool
it-
to me.
Tell
it
us.
looks like they're focusing not so much on story or anything. It just looks like they're trying to make a fun MMO.
Yeah,
Right.
Like they're not taking themselves serious at all, and they're just like putting something out there so that people can enjoy it and just have fun. That's what it looks like to me.
I wouldn't say that they're not taking themselves serious. I think, in a way, they're being very serious. They're,
Anything with investors is serious.
well, I mean,
This shit's serious business, man.
it's obvious that they care about what the game is going to be, but as far as not taking it serious, I think they take it plenty serious. They've definitely worked out these mechanics. One of the things I'm excited about are probably first and foremost are the aiming mechanics, and seeing this, watching this MMO from just hearing about it a year ago and seeing the videos that are on the website today, I can see a huge amount of care has gone into designing that kind of combat techniques and tactics that you're going to have to use in either PvE and PvP.
One
I
of the
think
things.
I was just saying. I think when we say that they don't care too much, is
They're
not
relaxed.
they're relaxed. Like
Yeah.
it's not like we're saying, "Oh, hey, what should we put in the game? Oh, I don't fucking know. Just throw some code in, whatever."
Yeah.
Like we're not saying that.
Yeah.
So
It's not like these guys are on here. It's like, this is the next best MMO with the best graphics and all the best gameplay. That's
Right.
not like how they're approaching the game.
you want
So
the
me,
MMO?
you mentioned graphics. What I've noticed with MMOs is most games in general, like when they sacrifice graphics for the sake of keeping the game smooth and playable, I think that helps a lot to the gameplay. Whereas a lot of people look for graphics now in their games. But I still think that you can talk all the shit you want about WoW, but that was a serious titan of the MMO
Right.
community.
It was.
Um,
Yeah, it still is.
and I think
It's still shitty though.
well, it's the same game. It's just like Call of Duty. It's the same fucking game.
Well, WoW was like the
goes the
beginner
same-
MMO for a lot of people, though. And so
It
it's like
was-
their first girlfriend, and then when you
Right.
you date your first girlfriend, you can never really leave her. You're always like, damn, dude,
You're
all
always
the good
thinking
times you
about
had
it.
together. So you keep going back to her,
Every-
even though it's
every once in a
probably
while
not
you
good
gotta-
for you because she's like a meth addict now. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes you just got to break
Dating
ties. But
pandas
a lot
and
of people,
stuff.
You always
Yeah.
got that picture
But
in your
yeah, I
wallet.
was kind of happy
Yeah,
to see
always
that.
got
I was happy to see that they didn't really just go all out with graphics, and I kind of actually like the cartoony look. Just because it does almost guarantee smoothness in gameplay, and you're not going to see a whole lot of.
Well, that's
Like Beastum said, though, it doesn't. Not that they're not being responsible, but the game doesn't take itself seriously. You look at all the dev speak videos, and I'll post some of those underneath our podcast posts for anybody who might listen to this first podcast. But they say dev speak disclaimer, like he's doing some
Yeah.
stupid shit, and there's no disclaimer text. Sometimes it's just like alien language, and it's I don't see that as like we said before, them not taking it seriously. I think it's like
Stop.
they're
Disclaimer
relaxed.
time.
Disclaimer time. And it's
I don't know. I like it a lot because it looks like it's pretty community driven.
they're listening to what we want.
Yeah.
In the game.
What's
or
next
they
on the
have
list?
been listening and finally
Well-
put it together.
I was gonna say their devs kind of remind me of he was Paul Barnett from Mythic Studios. Whenever he would do interviews for like the Warhammer MMO before, I'm pretty sure that's shut down now, but when it was still coming out, like people would interview him and they'd just be like, when you say these people embody chaos, what do you mean? He's like, oh, they've got fucking rats for blood and stuff. And he just he just say the dumbest stuff. It's just crazy. And he'd just say the coolest stuff. And he'd be like, oh, that game sounds awesome. And it sucks because no one played it and it went under. But it sounded cool before it came out.
Dude, you want to know the only reason I didn't play that game? It's because of McCutcheon. That dude played that game, and because he played it, I didn't play it. I was like, dude, you are a giant faggot, and only faggots have to play this game. I was like, I am not playing this game. And he would talk about it, he's like, it's the coolest MMO, like, blah, blah, blah. He would go on and on about it. I'm like,
it was
I'm not
cool.
playing it. I'm not playing it.
I remember playing that, and I was a marauder, which was basically you have a weapon in one hand, like an axe, and then your other arm would transform into something, so you dual wield, but only have one weapon, and your arm transformed into something. Like, it would turn into a claw, or like a crab claw, or some shit. And they all had different abilities, and I was like, wow, this is the coolest class ever. But then, once I started playing, after a while, it was basically, I can't remember what the exact class name was, but it was like a pyromancer, or a fire mage, or something. And it was the most broken, overpowered thing ever. And then if you weren't fighting those, it was basically paper, rock, scissors. Because, like, a marauder would beat this, and this would beat the marauder, and it would just go back and forth. So I just stopped playing after a while.
So it didn't rely on skill, it was just class?
Well, I mean, there's always some skill involved, but it's like one class would have abilities that almost perfectly counteracted this other class. So, like, if they were really way better than the other person, they could beat them.
But it would take that exponential, like, skill level just to beat them.
Like, they had to be way above the skill level of the other person to beat it. Yeah. Like, so, I don't know. What were we talking about with WildStar?
I think, to sum up WildStar, it's got some give and take. We said it right away. It takes away the graphics and gives
so if you're
a little
a graphics
more
whore,
gameplay.
you might not like the game at all.
Or
if you're like someone who likes a very cut and dry, like serious, like black and white type of storyline in MMO, it's probably not for you because it looks really like quirky and
That's
kooky,
the reason why you
just
play
like
MMOs,
really
man.
silly
MMOs
and like over
aren't
the top.
about, all about you. It's about your friends. That's what an MMO is designed for. Is you're supposed to just go out and do crazy shit with your friends.
Yeah, but some people like want to play WoW, like, oh, the orcs are gonna attack the humans now. And
all the orcs.
Like that
They're like
kind of
role
stuff.
playing.
Our PvE servers and stuff like that.
I think they can probably still. I'm sure there's still going to be that in this game.
This may have that, but it just seems a little sillier. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like it's very like, okay, this is the world you live in, and you're forced to live this way. It's kind of just like, oh, whatever. We're just going to bounce around and shoot laser guns and cubes at
right.
Like we were talking about Elder Scrolls. Just imagine. Hold on, my voice. Just imagine Elder Scrolls.
We'll cut that out, I guess.
Turn the sound down real quick.
Imagine Elder Scrolls as, like, serious, kind of, like, where it's got a serious story, and, like, everything's kind of serious, and people have problems and stuff that you need to solve. And WildStar is, like, the exact opposite of the spectrum, like, as far as story and graphics.
It's
like,
even
like Elder Scrolls tries to look kind of realistic. WildStar has more of a stylized look.
It's like that Wild West in space.
Yeah, it's Wild West in space.
Borderlands-ish, kind of.
TM.
Yeah, kind of.
Wild West in space. TM. Thanks.
WildStar.
You got it locked down.
West. Yeah, get it.
Anyways,
all
what are we
right.
talking about?
I think we need. We're moving
West.
on to the classes and mechanics.
Damn, I thought we were done. Okay.
We didn't talk about anything except hey, it looks pretty cool.
I'm probably going to play a couple classes. I think I'm going to get into this MMO where it was like WoW, where I had my warlock, warrior, what have you.
Well, let's go over the classes real quick.
Name off their classes.
They have the warrior, the esper, spellslinger, stalker, medic, and the engineer.
You want to break them down one by one real quick? Just a quick synopsis.
What's the warrior do? Is that basically like your tank?
I don't have enough knowledge about all the individual
warriors.
classes. So.
I mean, it's the traditional warrior healer kind of stuff, but each class has sub abilities and subclasses where they're like you can be an off tank or you can be an off healer, kind of like WoW was later, like post Burning Crusade, kind of where they made those abilities to be more versatile. It's to an extent it makes it easier to play as a solo game too, where you have a for each class you have a good swath of abilities where you can be versatile. If for some reason the group you're in doesn't need a tank, you can play off tank or even focus towards DPS.
Like,
have they put out like what the level cap is yet?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Like I'm looking at the website right now, and it says under warrior it has 2 roles. It says assault and tank, but even under those, it gives you abilities. Like they were saying in an interview, they don't want you to have like just bars full of abilities like WoW. You have a limited amount that you can choose from, and you kind of need to tailor your abilities to the encounter that you're going to have.
It gives your groups more diversity.
Yeah,
where you can bring the same class, but they have different roles and different abilities.
Yeah, like you can have a different build under the same class and like call it like this is my kiting build or whatever, and you might have a lot of slows and AoE and stuff like that. And this
makes everyone a little more flexible.
This is like my tanking one under, and you can have a lot of those, like a lot of small kind of clusters of abilities that kind of fit well together for different situations under each class.
So I think the next class is the Esper. The Esper, they use it's really cool. It's like a side blade is what it's called. It's a blade they throw on their back, and they basically use their mind to throw it around.
That's cool.
The Esper.
What was that dude's name in Mortal Kombat? Kenji? He just had that lightsaber blade just like throwing around the room. Cut people in half.
Well, it looks
circular,
more like Cabal's weapon.
Yeah, it's like a circular blade.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Espers can be healers or DPS. Cool.
Oh, sweet.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. For me, it's like any class. Like I don't know why I'm always stuck in like one class in just about everything I play. Like play support in League of Legends or like healers or anything like that in MMOs, and that's what I do. I enjoy healing. I don't know why. I enjoy the the whack-a-mole type game, if that's what it is. But this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun for healers. Like just the videos where I watched whatever the medic I think is what it was. Yeah. And it looked really cool. Like he was like shooting, and it sounds kind of dumb, I guess, if you say it, but he was shooting like cubes out, and like when people
wait, we'll get into the mechanics. I know what you're getting
magical
into.
Health cubes,
right? Yeah, but we'll get into that. We'll save that after.
But anyways, basically, is like this Esper class sounds like another class that I would probably play, just because they can be healers. I guess they're more of like your priest type healer, if you will.
Yeah, they're more like disciplined. The next class is the Spellslinger. This is what I'm going to probably play come launch, or if I can get into beta, hopefully.
It looks like more of the traditional range DPS.
Yeah, it's like a mage.
Right.
I think what really caught me with this was when they actually described it as the most slippery son of a bitch in the whole on the whole planet or something.
That's what it says.
What it says in the,
it's like on the website.
Yeah. The class video on YouTube. That's what it says. And they can do DPS and healer, so you can actually. The way that they heal is they actually shoot their allies with their guns because they use double pistols as their DPS weapon.
Oh, they're bounty hunters.
Cool. Pretty much, with cowboy hats.
So bounty hunters.
Nice.
So bounty hunters.
Nice.
So. The next one is the Stalker, and this is probably what I'm going to play because I don't know if it's a rogue. It sounds like a rogue.
It's roguey.
It's roguey, but it's a melee DPS, and that's what I always play in everything.
Yeah.
It can be melee DPS or tank.
Has invisibility and stuff like that. And I'm reading this here. This is what we were talking about earlier, where they don't try to take themselves too seriously. I'll read this verbatim. Since the dawn of creation, sentient beings have sought one thing above all others: beer-flavored bubblegum. But invisibility was a close second, not only for its simplification of wardrobe selection, but also for the ways it could improve the galaxy's favorite pastime: evisceration of the unsuspecting. That's their on the website description of what a stalker is, and even though it doesn't take itself seriously, we know exactly what that stalker is now. It's.
But I'm going to tell you a reason. I don't care about any of that. The only reason I want to play the Stalker is because it's a melee DPS, and when I played EverQuest, which was my first MMO, I played a monk, and it was a melee DPS. So now every single MMO or anything that I play I'm like, what's closest to the monk in EverQuest? So this one, it's Stalker, it looks like, so that's what I'm playing.
They use
Or
giant
Warrior.
claws as their weapon.
Hey, they had claws in EverQuest. Came out with
No,
the
I'm just
expansion.
saying. I'm trying to like give
Came out
a
with the expansion.
example of what everything looks like to somebody who hasn't.
So what else we got?
Next one's Medic. So obviously it's tank and DPS. No, I'm just kidding. It's healer, obviously, and also DPS.
Gonna heal you to death.
Take this syringe, bitch.
This is where I wanted
all
to kind of
this
segue into the mechanics, is because this is what I'm most excited about. Even though we're all probably going to play together, and Beastum, you're going to want to be a healer, I'm probably going to be a medic too, just because of the way it uses its abilities. Go ahead and explain how the attacks you were using. I mean, not using, but wink, hey, but how the attacks are set up, where you're basically, instead of being, for example, I don't know a good example.
Quit fucking up and just say it.
A healer in WoW, you would your 1, 2, 3, and those would be your single heals. 4 would be a group heal, so something like that. And you didn't even have to look. You basically were watching everyone's health on your UI add-on or whatever, and
Looking at the group window.
Right,
Yeah.
the group window, making sure everybody had health. This, you're an active healer. You throw down big swaths of land where that's a healing aura, and they have to be inside it. So you have to, if you want to heal somebody, they have to be exactly in there. You have channel heals too, where you actually have to aim. It's not, bam, you're channeling on the guy that you're, focused on. It's you have to point your damn mouse at the guy that you're channeling on. That's what I'm excited. I've never healed anywhere like that.
It's basically like the way that it looked was like a cone effect in front of you. And the guy would have his weapons, they look like laser guns, and he'd just run around and he's just healing, but it's going out in front of him. So everyone within that cone in front of him was being healed. Now, if you're outside of that, you weren't. And the same thing he was talking about, it's similar to like an AoE heal, but he would throw down like a big group of these green blocks, and they're bouncing up and down, and anyone inside of that was getting healed, possibly a buff. I don't know what all it entailed, but just from the video, you're extremely active. You're running around the entire time trying to heal everyone. Maybe some people won't like that. I will, because it's a break from what I'm used to.
It's more dynamic.
Looking at
it makes you actually pay attention to the fight and not just look at a bunch of health
I'm used
bars.
to just basically standing one spot, because I remember playing WoW, and so many bosses, I didn't even really know what they looked like. I knew what my raid screen looked like, all the people that were lined out, red and green, you know what I mean? Because that's all I looked at, and I was just playing whack-a-mole and just hit it, which I didn't really have an issue with, but now that I see that there's something else outside of that, I'm really excited about it, simply because now I can be more active, I can see what's really going on, pay attention to all the different things that are out there. And I mean, it just looks different to me, which is really cool.
Next one's Engineer, which is a DPS.
I
and
really like
tank.
that segue, though.
Next, I'm bored of this. Get it out of here.
Next on WildStar.
Transition incoming.
These guns
Engineer.
are pretty legit, though. These blasters
The-
So what's up with
massive.
Engineer?
Engineer seems to be a range DPS, also off tank kind of
It's
class.
the pet
You have-
class.
It's the
Oh,
pet
okay,
class.
okay.
Takes over kind of like what Hunter was in
Right.
World of Warcraft, where you have,
Or the war,
a certain
or the
pet
war-
does more DPS.
Was it the
So
warlock?
what do you just build, like robots or something like that?
No, it's
They're
the
like-
Hunter in World of Warcraft. But
Yeah, the Hunter.
yeah, you build like
they had
a
robots,
DPS
right?
robot or a
Yeah,
tank.
totally.
You have
Yeah, the robot bear.
whatever. Anyway, in WildStar, you if you're playing DPS, you're gonna have your robots or your whatever you want to call them out that do DPS and maybe do a little healing. If you're a tank, you're gonna have threat producing robots, healing robots, that kind of thing.
Well, let's
that are
just
gonna keep you
the
sustainable.
abilities on the website. Under DPS, it's called Artillery Bot, and on
Right.
Tank, it's called Bruiser Bot.
So pretty straightforward what those bots are going to be used for.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
It kind of reminds me of the Engineer. What was that game? Not EverQuest, but the other one that came out, Guild Wars or whatever, Guild Wars 2.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever play the Engineer on that?
Yeah.
where you basically just like
Fucking
throw it. It was
hated
kind
it.
of like almost like a totem or something, and you just throw it on the ground. And
It's just like a little turret that would just kind of sit there.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
this is really fun. I guess I'll never move.
It's like, hey, you guys
Yeah,
use
so I don't
my
know
class Heimerdinger now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if that's what these engineers are going to look like, which
Oh,
would kind of be lame.
I'm going
I
to
don't know if I
imagine
would
that to
do
go
that.
with the rest of the game, they're going to be mobile.
Yeah, I would hope that they're mobile.
I don't
in
know if
some
they
way.
are, but I just
I
think...
haven't
like
seen any videos, but I hope that they are.
Yes, I just imagine with something where you have to like actively dodge kind of shots and stuff, like
Yeah.
target areas from enemies and things like that, and you're really moving around a lot. I'd imagine that the bots move also, or would hope that they do.
I honestly, from the videos, I haven't seen a lot of bot movements. They talk about them. Maybe they're still kind of, in development or something like that, but it seemed like the focus for the engineer was its gun and the abilities that the longer range abilities, so you'd essentially be like a ranged tank and ranged DPS with slower, heavier shots. That's what it seemed to be like from the videos. He even jokes about, one-shotting a bunch of people just with the gigantic gun that comes with the engineer. And I think he even says in the video, oh, and there's bots, and they heal you and stuff.
It's like cuts off.
Yeah, that's what it's like. It just kind of
Cut
cuts off. It's like, oh, and it's Hunter, basically. But yeah, what I'm excited for most for this game basically is the new mechanics. It's no longer, even with Elder Scrolls, there was still that. Okay, I gotta hit 1 because that's my DPS, and then 2, 3, 4. That's why I couldn't stick with the new Final Fantasy MMO. I basically had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tab, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tab, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it gets old so fast. And that's always my biggest gripe with MMOs is that it feels like work. It's tedium, whereas this is you have to think, you have to focus, you have to aim to actually be effective.
Oh, like League of Legends. Love that game.
Yeah, I'm fucking terrible at League of Legends, so I'm probably going to be terrible at this game. But I'll enjoy it
Four
more.
abilities, I hate it.
I hate it. This
Now-
guy's stupid. Why can't I just build a house out of blocks?
I can't
just
in
wanna
League of
dig,
Legends,
man.
I can't go off and be like, I'm going to explore this map.
You can.
No, it's the same map.
Can.
All right, this is a different show.
Just gotta be
my
careful.
Bitch,
called
my
The
bitch
Jungler.
session about League of Legends is for a different show. What are you guys most excited about for WildStar? I already went.
Houses is something that I'm really looking forward to. Because it's instance housing basically, where but they were talking about when you decorate your house, like you pretty much go out and explore and you find items and stuff, and you can craft items that you bring in your house, and the better you decorated your house is, then you get more rest experience and stuff when you stay there
I saw that
overnight.
also.
And
It's
cool. Yeah.
super customizable too. Like I saw a bunch of these different houses. Like one dude, his entire house was literally like his house, and inside of it was just treasure, like piles of gold and treasure. And he didn't even have like a bed or anything. He just laid on the
I've
treasure.
seen that. He
He's
he
like
had
a
like
true player
like a throne
Yeah.
sitting on all the
Yeah.
piles of loot.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Pockets so deep it's like his money's got to swim out.
Is that 2 Chain or something?
I don't know, man. It's one of them.
Sounds like it.
It's
Say,
possible.
give me the business radio.
What
Oh,
Zizmo, what's up?
so besides that, also I forget what they're called, but basically the clan castles.
Clan assholes. What?
Yeah,
There's
clan-
always a bunch of
Castles.
those.
clean
castles.
assholes.
Castles, yeah, the fortresses or something
Very
like
important.
that. I forget what they're called, man. But basically, they're saying that you're going to have guild versus guild battles, and you're going to use your fortress. It looks really cool.
Like Siege?
That's-
Hold on. I don't know anything about this.
I'm
Is it
trying
Siege
to-
PvP?
I'll explain. It's basically there will be PvP areas, kind of like I can't remember the areas from World of Warcraft, for example, but there's areas where there's active PvP, even if it's a PvP server, and on there you can have either city or clan fortresses that you can make, and you design the walls, you design its defenses, and you design its purpose, and your clan will fight from there. And obviously they don't go into huge detail because it's obviously still under development. I honestly still don't know how they're going to be able to do that effectively without having a really short cooldown on it, where Because
Well, did you ever play...
If that's a mechanic, that's day one. Everybody's going to be like, let's build here, and there's going to be 50 fortresses outside the main area. You know.
Well, I know the way they were planning on doing the player housing was you had your own island in the sky, basically. And, like, it's if you look around, there's a bunch of everybody else has their own islands. But it's really just instanced. Did you guys ever play the first Guild Wars?
Briefly.
One of the big things there was they would have guild versus guild, and basically, you would buy a fortress or whatever, and they had like ladders and stuff. But you would face off in your fortress versus somebody else's, and it was like a ranked matchmaking kind of deal. So maybe they'll do it something like that, like an instance thing where it's like a queue, and you queue up to fight somebody that's roughly at your level of play.
Another possible thing, like a long time ago in Dark Age of Camelot, that was like one of the first MMOs that was mainly centered around PvP, and they had I don't think they were called Battlegrounds, maybe they were, but they basically had a keep in the middle of an area. It was a huge kind of field with the 3 factions like centered around a keep in the middle. Mm-hmm. And all 3 factions would be fighting to gain control of the keep. And whoever had control of the keep would get bonuses for their realm, like experience and stuff.
There was another MMO that was like that I forget what it's called. But that's what they were doing. They were doing 3 different factions with a centralized keep that you fought over. It was like a battleground, but it was like server-wide.
Yeah, I just remember in Dark Age of Camelot, it wasn't like skill level or anything. It was like levels like 11 to 19 or 10 to 19 went to this one, and like so just similarly leveled people would all go to the same one, and I don't think they had ranked anything back then. It was all just open world PvP, so it wasn't ranked or anything, but all the areas for different levels looked different. Like it wasn't just like this is the 10 to 19 area and it looks the exact same as the 20 to 29 area. Like they all looked different too.
Okay.
So, I don't know if that's kind of what they're going for, or if it's going to be like actually player-built cities with like siege PvP, or how it's going to work. I don't know. Like, I didn't even know that was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a short video. It's only like a minute and a half long, and it's pretty vague. But, Mo Kills, Beast 'em. That's your other name. What are you excited for WildStar? And then we'll move on to Destiny.
The biggest thing I'm looking for is simply the combat. I mean, I mentioned earlier about some of the stuff that they're implementing and the cool stuff that I like. I mean, another thing was it was showing a video of like dudes doing like double front flips and stuff, and like jumping over objects. And I don't know. It just looks,
you can double jump, right?
Yeah, and I mean, just like the basic movement features just seem so much different than any other MMO.
It's not like World of Warcraft where it was an arena in PvP.
It's
There's
not like
where you just
platforming
run
areas.
You know what I mean? Like they take into account that maybe some people can do front flips in space. You know what I mean?
That's what they were thinking. They're like, hey, people can front flip in space.
Holy shit! Why don't we build a game?
It's just really, it's different for me, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most, is to see how it all like comes together as a whole.
Right.
So.
All right, Destiny. Now, is this even coming out on PC?
It fucking better be.
I honestly don't know if it is. If it isn't, this will be the reason that I get a PS4. I'm a huge fan.
I think it's only on PlayStation and Xbox, actually.
Announced on those.
I hope it comes out to PC.
PVC pipe.
Yeah, PVC pipe. I hope it comes out to PC, because that's a huge market that would really want to be a part of another MMO.
So this is an MMO.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Well, is it an MMO, or is it just kind of a online
They're
world?
calling it a single-player multiplayer, like first-person shooter.
Is it Borderlands?
That's what it seems like. It seems
where
like a
there's a world that you go in.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it seems like.
You remember when we watched it on E3? Whenever they were talking about it,
yeah.
those lame dudes come on there and they're like, "Hey, what's this gun?" And it's like just being a total idiot the whole time.
Well, I don't know. Why don't you try it out? Oh my god, it's missiles.
Let's see what this does. And then like he pulls out some gun and he's like, "Look at the."
You know,
it's like,
during those events, they're being paid to do that, though. I don't think that
really?
guy's actually like,
really,
what
Olsen?
are missiles? They explode on impact?
Yeah, like,
I never would have guessed. I
but
thought they
like,
were so
the way it looked was just like, you know, a group of people. It was like first-person shooter, and then they're just going around like killing aliens and stuff, which was cool.
Basically, every time I look at this game, I think realistic Borderlands.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look really like an MMO to me. It looks...
And that would be okay, though.
Yeah, that's fine. I liked Borderlands. But when they say, like, oh, it's a first-person MMO single-player hybrid or whatever the fuck they're calling it, then I'm just like, isn't it just Borderlands, though? Like, let's just...
Really?
Can you just say, like, realistic Borderlands? Is that what you're talking about? Like, could you clarify?
Change the
It's
name.
basically Borderlands.
Yeah.
Who wants to play basically Borderlands? Oh, I do.
Who wants to play Borderlands made by Bungie? Just say that.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, fuck, I do. You got it.
The reason why am I excited about Destiny? God, I can't fucking talk today.
Better fix it.
The reason I'm excited about Destiny is I'd say that I'm a Bungie fanboy with the exception that I don't like the Halo games. And
what else did they make?
Why does that even make sense? Like, what else does Bungie make?
No. They made a lot of stuff. They had Pathways into Darkness. They had the
Like
Marathon.
we said, what else did they make?
Listen! I was like, I'm describing. One of my first video games, the first video games that I ever played and was like, hey, I kind of like video games,
Super
was
Mario
the Marathon trilogy. And it was basically like Doom, kind of like the Doom engine. I don't know what engine it was. I don't think they really had engines back then, but it was...
I think they did, but go ahead.
In 1994 is when the first one came out.
Windows 3.11.
It was
I
Mac.
said Windows 9.11.
It came out on Mac, but it was a
That terrorist window.
very deep story and moving story, even though it was shitty, sprite graphics. Marathon. It was released... Most people who know about Marathon know about it today from Xbox Live Arcade because it was re-released on there. But the original Marathon had such a deep story, and it was there was so much story, and it was essentially each game you were reading a novel with that much depth and that much lore behind it. And with Halo, I know there's a lot of lore, but I didn't feel that kind of connection with Halo, and it looks through Destiny that with the concept art, the way the game's played, the little bit of story I've seen, there's going to be that depth again and that very adult seriousness to the story that I'm really excited about.
I didn't really like Halo, except the first one. I really liked the first Halo, and I played the second Halo for like halfway through, and I just got tired of it. And I turned Halo 3 on for like 5 minutes, and then turned it back off and never played it again. I was like, this game's fucking shit.
I bought the Halo Edition Xbox 360, and I played it for like a month, and then I quit playing it. I think with like the Halo games, the same thing with Call of Duty. It's the same game. It's the same with Battlefield. It's the same game. It's just different maps and a few different weapons. It's just, you're buying it for entertainment.
Whatever your preference is,
you're buying it for entertainment. You're not buying it for a new experience, really.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, Destiny. This definitely seems like a new experience.
Well, yeah, it's a different.
Yeah. It's a new IP.
Yeah.
What can Bungie do separate from Microsoft is basically what it's going to come down to. If it's a success, then they're going to
don't release it on Origin.
Expand on this.
Yeah,
right.
Don't put it on Origin.
Thank God that they're
maybe.
Thank
and
God
don't make your own fucking marketplace for your own games.
Don't make your own Steam.
Just put it on Steam. Everyone has Steam. No one wants to use Origin or
just put it on everything so everybody can just pick what they want.
No, they're gonna put it on. What is that? What is that Microsoft server thing? What is it? Microsoft Online?
No, they're getting rid of that.
Yeah, they're already shut that down. It was already a failure. What was the Rockstar Online?
There's Uplay for Ubisoft.
Yeah, Uplay is fucking shit. Don't stop.
Uplay, actually, Uplay is not that bad.
It's just because it's like, let me launch this game through Steam, and then also have to launch it through this other thing, and then have to log into Windows Live. Just let me play the fucking game. Like, that's all I want. Just put
I bought
just
it.
put it
Just
on
give it to
Steam. No one wants to use your terrible things, EA, that made Origin. It still barely works.
So, what do you guys think about the first-person shooter MMO aspect on consoles? How do you think that's going to be? Assuming that they don't release it on PC, and I know, Tagos, you're going to just straight up say you're not going to play it if it's not on PC.
Yeah, I don't play first-person shooters on a controller. I hate it.
Right. But what do you think? What do you guys think?
I honestly don't know how it's going to feel. Like, if it's going to be like an MMO with abilities and stuff like that, plus a first-person shooter, like, that just seems really awkward.
Wasn't Final Fantasy
like,
on
it seems
console?
like you would be a lot more comfortable
Final Fantasy
doing WASD with a mouse and having to be able to use those abilities plus being able to shoot, like, you know what I mean, with the scope.
Right. I tried the controller version of Final Fantasy, and it was at best terrible. It was so there's no with an MMO especially when you're doing some kind of boss fight or something like that, or even fighting a normal mob, you have an instinct with a mouse of where you want to look and your hotkeys with your left hand, and as soon as you switch to controller, and maybe because I only gave it an hour of my time, but as soon as you switch to the controller, it's like learning how to use a controller all over again.
Yeah.
Because it's not intuitive at all.
It was on
I
controller,
hope it's
and it
not like
wasn't
that.
as good, but while I was visiting somebody, then I was playing Final Fantasy on a PlayStation 3 for about a week and a half, and so I had to use a controller, and, like, it was kind of... I didn't like it at first, but after a while, like... it became just like playing the MMO on anything else, where it was kind of like second nature. Like, I knew what I had to hit to do what I wanted to do, and it started to work after a while. I still prefer the keyboard and mouse, but I thought as far as MMOs on a console that it did pretty well. But just first-person shooters, I just hate using a controller. Like, with a mouse, I'm like, oh, where do I want to aim? Here, I guess I'll go ahead and aim there. And when I have a controller, I'm like, oh, I want to shoot that guy in the head, and like I'll make this huge sweeping arc like across the screen trying to get it, and then I'll go past his head, and then I try to, like, he's moving, so I'm trying to, like, catch the thing up to his head, and I'll go past it, and I'm like jerking back and forth for like 5 minutes before I fucking get it on his head, and then someone else kills him or something.
Now, see, I have the total opposite. I grew up playing first-person shooters on consoles, and then I recently, a few years ago, started playing first-person shooters on PC, and I can play it on either one, but I guess maybe I just grew up playing it on console, so I'm used to that controller. I would prefer the controller, I think, over the mouse and keyboard.
They should just make a console that has a mouse and keyboard.
It's called a computer.
Yeah, they do, but just like
Steambox.
pretty much. But just say, like, hey, here's a new PlayStation 4, and we got rid of all these stupid fucking controllers. Here's a mouse and keyboard.
I mean, I think controllers have a place in the world, like for fighting games and for
Fighting games is it.
Well,
That's
when
it.
you look at
games,
like the super competitive
Platformers,
dudes that play
too.
like the fighting games, they have the joystick things, right?
Well, they play
Some
with
of
like
them
the
do.
arcade,
The arcade pad, yeah,
like
yeah.
the best guys do. I've seen, like, especially whenever they go to like the competitions, like all they have is the arcade pad, unless there's like just one.
I think they
weirdo
just do that to
who's
show
got a
off.
controller.
Yeah,
I mean, probably.
I don't see the edge that could give you.
They're like, oh, do you see my gold-trimmed arcade sticks I have as they
Go
push
back
their
to my
glasses
hotel
up their
room and
nose and
sit
stuff?
on it.
Whoa!
Wow. Okay. All right. Let's get back on topic.
Yeah, what were we
Get
talking
all
about?
4chan on here.
So, Destiny, so I think we kind of covered FPS and consoles. Are we concerned about story? I'm
No.
not concerned about story at all.
They
I
could
think it's gonna be a
literally
great
come out and say there is not a story to this game, and
Just run
it would
through,
not
kill
change
stuff.
my opinion of it at all. Like,
Yeah,
when
it
I
wouldn't
play
change
a
mine.
game like this, which is basically a loot fest first-person shooter like Diablo or something, I don't care about the story. I didn't care about the story in Diablo. I didn't care about it in Borderlands. I'm not going to care about it in this.
That's where I had so much. When I played
even,
Borderlands
like,
with you,
first-person shooters.
When
Like,
I
I don't
had-
play the story in first-person shooters. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I've ever played one in Call of Duty or Battlefield, like any of those. I don't even know what the stories are about.
The only times that in a first-person shooter where I understood the story is when they went through their whole thing with World War II's ones, and it was better than history class, basically.
like the very first
That's
Medal
just
of
your
Honor.
homework.
The last,
Yeah,
I
like
was gonna
Medal
say,
of
like, the
Honor
last one
and
I
like the
played was
first
Medal
Call
of
of
Honor.
Duties and the first
Like the
Battlefields,
Pacific
like
one or whatever it
1942 and
was.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like those were the only times because they didn't have like an online feature. It was
Right.
just like, all right, play through the gameplay with like your buddy. It's
Kill
like,
Germans.
this is cool. Yeah, kill Germans. Kill
Four-way
Japanese.
split screen.
Yeah, but in like these new games where they're like, in this world of stuff that we just made up and we hope you care about. Like, no, I
Terrorists
don't.
everywhere.
Terrorists are everywhere, and also this guy has a gold Desert Eagle. He's probably
And
important.
the Soviets are back.
The Soviets are back.
Vladimir, put mask on. We must raid airport.
The North Koreans
yeah.
are at it again. Like, no one cares.
So while we're on this topic, let's talk a little bit about Titanfall.
Okay.
How is that?
I know it's kind of
What?
a step
We're
away
talking
from...
about first-person shooter.
No,
topic,
listen,
right?
listen.
Not like
I'll tie it
shitty-
together.
Okay, all right.
Don't worry.
shitty
I'll
single
tie it.
player.
Just give me a chance.
Put that
We
shoe.
were talking
Put that
about-
shoe on your foot. Tie it together.
Tie it together. We were talking about MMOs, and you said we're not concerned about story with Destiny and the first-person shooter aspect of it. Here we have Titanfall, a first-person shooter, a competitive first-person shooter with, I believe, no story campaign. Is that right?
Yeah,
know,
I'm pretty
does it?
sure it's all online and multiplayer.
All online.
I don't
So-
think
Which
there
is
is a
smart.
single
They don't have
player.
to
So
waste
I'll be
time
playing the
developing
same
a
way I
story.
play every other first-person shooter.
Yeah, where
Yeah,
you
Right,
ignore
which
the
is,
single
which is
player.
good.
I think that's the point of Titanfall. Is it's made to be it's going to be made to be a competitive game.
Yeah. I think I even read an interview of like where they were talking about, they're like, why don't you have a single player? And they're like, because no one plays them. And
Yeah.
like they said, they basically, it's a new studio. The people, it's Respawn Entertainment, which is the people who made the first Medal of Honor games and made the first Call of Duty games, and were in Activision. And then when I can't remember who bought Activision. No, Activision bought Infinity Ward, so they were with Infinity Ward. And then there was a big falling out with Activision, where like half the company left,
I remember.
and they formed their own thing called Respawn Entertainment. And their first game is Titanfall. So they were saying they didn't have enough resources to really devote to a single player anyway. They didn't have enough resources to devote to single player anyway, and so why bother when no one really plays it?
It all worked out.
Yeah, it all worked out. No one cares
So what do
about
you-
story in FPSs.
So what do you guys think of the team size controversy that has been around?
Why don't you tell us
Titanfall?
how
Do you
big the
think
teams are?
6v6 or 8v8? I've seen a couple streams with 8v8, and I guess I don't really understand. I'm getting conflicting information. I remember from
I've read
the Xbox One event that started this whole controversy was 7v7, and then they changed it to 8v8.
well,
So that's
I've read that it's 12-player matches, which is 6v6. I don't know.
Right.
I don't really know if it's different, but they kind of counteract that with bots.
right.
Like the majority of the team is AI.
See, I'm okay with that simply because there's giant titans walking around.
Yeah.
I don't want 24 titans walking around these maps. You know what I mean? Like, dude, that just seems like straight mayhem. Like, I don't think I would be able to handle that. Just like titans running around, dashing through the city, and just killing me every 5 seconds.
Right.
So, like, an 8-on-8 max is cool with me.
I think
So-
I really like small team sizes. I think if you get into anything over 10 people to each team, I think it's too much. Unless you're looking at something like Battlefield. But I think the reason for that is it still lets it be competitive, and when you just jump into a game, you can still recognize and identify other players a little bit more easily. It's not like, oh, there's like 30 people on the other team.
Which one's the
which
player,
one's the guy
yeah.
who killed me? Oh, I don't remember. You have that, like, you get killed by the same guy 3 times in a row. Like, I'm gonna get that fucker, and like you remember that dude's name, and that's what you're gunning for. And it's
yeah.
easier for you to find your team and kind of group up with your friends and make a team of 6 or 8.
Yeah.
I always try to play FPSs like completely different. Like whenever I play, which was like Counter-Strike and the early Call of Duties and things like that, I was used to, it was basically 24 to 30 players. So 12 to 15 players per team. And that's
Right.
what I was used to. And in Counter-Strike and Call of Duty, the maps are always kind of circular. So while the team were kind of clashing with each other, I would always be the guy who went around the back to try to like sneak up on people from behind. And in Titanfall, the maps are kind of, it's like they're kind of mobile, maps where you start in one area and you kind of segue into another area and then another area, and they use the bots, the AI, to kind of push the map along. Like, they're basically cannon fodder that are there to move the map around.
Okay.
I'm not a huge MOBA player, but I guess I would describe that, we were talking earlier, I would describe that as a MOBA mechanic, where I was watching some of these, intro videos to Titanfall. There's these, it's not like they're, like you said, they're just cannon fodder. They actually have, the AI actually has an objective, and they're going to push domination points. They're going to try work for your team on team deathmatch kind of situations.
Until a Titan just rolls up and just blows them all away.
Yeah.
Right. That's, I mean, obviously a Titan's going to make them cannon fodder, but for a player like me, who's not, I'm not good at first-person shooters, but I'm really excited for Titanfall because I know I'm going to be able to get some kills. Maybe I can just focus on keeping, the enemy's wave off of the domination. If I'm not good enough, which I know I'm not going to be, I'm not good enough to be competitive, in a Titan against other Titans or as a player against other human players.
Don't give yourself
maybe
too much
I
credit.
can take maybe I can
Stop
take
flattering
different roles.
yourself.
I just you guys play with me all the time. I don't have that fast twitch. The last time I was ever good at any kind of flash twitch game was Unreal Tournament 98. And even then I was, I was positive. Yeah, well that was a fun fucking game. But even then I was positive, but it wasn't like anything crazy. But that's when I have fun, is when I can, carve out my own role instead of all of these Call of Duty maps where you're just basically sprinting in a circle. The entire group of players you can watch, you guys ever seen heat maps of all the Battlefield and Call of Duty maps where players have been, where the directions that they run, they all look like hurricanes. They're just giant circles where people run in circles around the map trying to clear buildings, and it's not a fun mechanic for me. This seems, with the verticality and platforming of the
like the
maps,
parkour.
yeah, all the parkour events.
That's probably going to be the coolest part of the parkour.
Yeah.
People are just going to be running around, jumping from building to building.
Even though
Yeah, like
Basically,
that guy we watched yesterday on
Yeah.
Twitch when he just he did a double jump, grappled to the wall, and he ran
Some
around the
Jackie
corner of it
Chan
and then
shit
jumped
up,
on the roof.
like in between two
Yeah,
buildings.
it's crazy.
it's
Just the things you can do.
it's a nice, salute back to the even though it's a new IP, it's a salute back to the, the low gravity maps of Unreal Tournament, or the jetpacks in Quake and everything like that, and Quake Wars and stuff like that. It's a lot more. It's fast paced, but it's more of the classic first person shooter where there's verticality, there's powerful guns, other in-game mechanics instead of just I'm gonna paint my gun.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at is
cheetah paint.
It adds that third dimension, to
Right.
where you can.
Yeah.
It produces way more angles and variables,
Right.
and like
Which
fights.
I think speeds up the game, because when I was watching
yeah.
this guy yesterday, like the game was just so fast paced. It was
Right.
like almost mind boggling, and I think that really brings back to my other point when I was talking about I don't want more than 8 people, on
There's gonna
each
be-
Yeah,
team.
that'd be
It's
just
like,
chaos.
Could you imagine like all the people just running off the walls and the mechs just storming through like the alleyways and stuff? Like I think it has to be that low, otherwise it's just pandemonium.
But I mean, I think that's kind of
Right.
what you look at when you're looking at those kind of games. Anyways, is you're just trying to control that chaos. That's kind of what makes
Yeah.
it fun.
But yeah, I mean, as a whole, it looks really good. Like I was talking to you guys yesterday about just the way the guns are when you shoot them. Like it's not overly realistic because the gun barrels don't rise whenever you're shooting like fully automatic weapons.
Shoot like
which I'm
20
cool with.
missiles out at a time.
Yeah, 20 missiles out at a time. I mean, it's not like overly realistic like Battlefield or Call of Duty where like you shoot one shot and your gun goes flying to the top of the screen. It's just you're just running around just trying to kill as many people as you can.
It's like a
It's
sci-fi shooter,
Yeah.
basically.
Right.
where a lot of like physics don't apply, which is okay.
Yeah.
Because it's like a fantasy first-person shooter.
Sort of, yeah.
Cool.
Titans. Are you
They
guys
do
excited about
exist.
They do exist.
And they are epic.
Do you think that's going to be a big part of your playstyle? Are you going to just be, fuck. Are you going to be going, I only want to get into Titan, I'm going to get in it as soon as cooldown, or are you going to try to use it strategically? What are you going to do with that?
Honestly, I never really care about getting vehicles in these kinds of games. When it's a first-person shooter, I like controlling my soldier, and I like pointing my gun around and just being that. In Titanfall, might be different because they're more... The Titans are mobile. It's not like they're just lumbering things
they're
going
not
around.
like artillery.
They're agile.
Yeah, it's like you're still controlling your soldier, basically, but he's just 2 stories tall or something now. He's still fast. He's got mobility. Yeah, he's got weapons and stuff. So I don't know. Unless I play it, which I haven't yet, then I don't really know how it's going to fit into my personal play style. So, I think it looks balanced enough where you can take out a Titan as a soldier, just a normal soldier, and you can kill the soldiers as a Titan. So it's balanced enough to where, I have no idea yet.
Now, those Titans are customizable, right?
To an extent. I don't think they're... it's not going to be like Call of Duty where you got all these different...
You can't
I know there's
Go ahead.
There's different, classes of Titans.
Okay, cool. That's what I wanted.
There's, the Assault Titan, a Tank Titan, things like that.
That's cool.
So I don't know how customizable they are, by themselves, but there are kind of different classes
I'm just thinking
of
of
Titans that fill
Warrior
different
where,
roles.
there's so many variables that you can add to...
It's definitely not going to be like
right,
that.
Not
They
to
even
that
said...
level of customization, obviously.
They even said that they're not focusing on customization. It's not going to be like Battlefield where there's so many different variables to your one gun type. It's, do you want a grenade launcher or not? Do you want a red dot sight or not? It's simple.
It's kind of like a bare
effective.
bones first person shooter. It's the game. There's not a lot of bells and whistles to go with it.
Cool. Right.
Which I'm okay with personally.
Whenever I play a first person shooter, that's what I really like is I want to shoot people. I don't need all this other stuff.
Which scope is going to be the best, or which barrel is going to
I
keep
don't
me
care.
from,
Which gun has the most barrel rise and
Blue
stability
Tiger
and shit.
camo.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Titan idea. I don't know if personally I will be primarily in it, simply because I watched one of the videos and it shows the guy who was putting his Titan on patrol, which would be more of my play style. Send the Titan out in front of me while he walks around and does, the auto feature, kill whoever near it while I'm in a building shooting out of the window, or sneaking up behind someone and knifing them, or with something along that line. I don't know if I'm going to be just charging in with a Titan all the time through the city streets and whatnot, but I'd probably get in there and see how it feels.
One thing that I saw that was
ultimately decide, but
one thing I saw that was really funny is, have you guys seen the melee attacks? You basically just run up and kick people in the chest really hard.
It's like straight Liu Kang.
They'll just run up, they don't hit them with the butt of their gun, and they don't stab people or anything. They just run up and just kick somebody in the chest super hard, and so hard it kills them. And then every once in a while, he'll run up and just grab this guy's head and just twist it completely around. So it's you fucking kill him in the most brutal way possible, or kick him really hard. It's just so weird.
You kick so hard in the sternum, your chest explodes.
Kick so hard, motherfuckers want to find.
You just get your foot stuck. You get a debuff where you're slowed because you're dragging this dude's body around on your
feet. You have bodies on your feet. It's wearing them like shoes.
That's how you become a Titan.
You just stag bodies on your feet.
Punching people with body hands.
Body hands.
Body hands.
Body.
It's just
body fist.
Smashing bodies into Titans, just this is brutal. All right, one thing, Zeismo, you mentioned earlier, and I know you wanted to talk about, is or one thing you noticed in the Twitch streams that we were watching was the possible imbalance with how easy it is to kill a Titan.
Yeah, well, I think that's just the knowledge of the player. One of the things that when we were watching the Twitch stream was pretty much as soon as somebody jumped in a Titan, there was 3 dudes jumping off of buildings parkour style and just jumping on his back and ripping his head open and just beating the brakes off of the brain of the robot and just shooting it. And it seemed like it was pretty easy to take down the Titans, which is good. But it just seemed what's the point of getting into a Titan if it's so easy to take them down?
Do you think it's just there's just some balance issues that they have to figure out? Because in my opinion, it did seem each maybe it's a good thing, but it seemed like each player's time in a Titan was probably at most 15 seconds.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing is, I think the stream that we were watching, a bunch of those guys were all playing together. And
right. They're professional players,
so,
too.
I think one of the things there was, they know what they're doing. They're going to watch each other's backs when they go into an area, and they're not just going to let somebody jump on their buddy's Titan's back. They're going to shoot him right off. So I guess it looked pretty balanced. It was just, I like to see the fact that they weren't invincible.
Okay. Well, that's all we have on our agenda for today. Thanks for joining us in our first
agenda.
Yeah, I don't.
Are you the Illuminati?
I don't have.
I saw a picture of him today. And I zoomed into his collar on his shirt, and I saw a pyramid.
It's like pyramid for pupils and shit. Thanks for joining us. Hope you had a good listen. I don't know what the fucking words are. Thanks for coming.
What are words?
We'll have some more out probably once a week. See you next
Hopefully
week.
not an
Hold
hour
on,
and
you
15
got
minutes
to
long.
say our website and stuff, and then
Yeah.
you've got to
Plug,
also plug our
Please
channels.
subscribe,
There you go.
like.
Plugged it. Okay, you guys. So our website.
MediocreGameCast.
MediocreGameCast.
.blogspot.com.
There you go.
Goodness, is that hard?
If you
It's your turn next time to do the fucking media.
If you like
That's what
League
it
of
is.
Legends, you can watch my videos and Trollerman's videos. Mine is Tigos132 on YouTube, and Trollerman is Trollerman on YouTube.
With two ends on the end.
With
And we'll
two
have all
ends.
these links below the video or below the podcast too.
Yeah, you better get on
anywhere
that
we can link them. We're going to try and link this stuff. So.
shit. We don't have Facebook or Twitter. What is
Twitter.
it?
Twitter. Twitter.
I don't
Hey,
use it.
what are you doing on that twatter there?
The
What are you
twatter.
doing on your
Is he
twatter?
from
Just
Boston?
gonna flop around on my Twitter account.
Yeah, I'm gonna go twat this out.
A little flippy floppy on my tweety twatter.
Anyway,
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
later.
Listening. Thanks.
Listening. What the?